DreAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to protect your mental health as you age. So we just talked about the physical health in the previous two episodes. Today we're going to start a two-part series on how to protect your mental health as you age, because it does become a more serious issue for some reasons that I'm going to lay out here today. So the same way that your physical body ages, your mind also ages. The good thing about the mind as opposed to the body is that it can continue to grow, perform, and even improve in its performance in ways that the physical body is simply not capable of, all of course with respect to your baseline levels. But the mind can expand in ways that the human body cannot expand as it gets older, just as a general rule. So today we're going to talk about the ways to protect what's happening in between the ears as you accumulate candles on your birthday cakes. Let's get right into it. Point number one, the topic once again is how to protect your mental health as you age. Number one, challenge your brain. Challenge your brain. You want to keep your mental health sharp, the brain must be challenged. In other words, do not allow your brain to turn to mashed potatoes. All right, everybody knows what mashed potatoes look and feel like, right? But law of association says you become the average of the people you spend the most time with. So if you are getting older and fall into a routine of watching nonsense, reality TV shows, and scrolling through garbage on social media, not challenging your brain to think the way that you used to challenge your brain to think when you were half your age, because maybe back then you were going to school and getting challenged by teachers, or you were hanging with people who were thinking of different things, or you were striving and ambitious in your career, but now you're retired doing nothing, or you were hanging around people who were striving and ambitious in their careers as well as you. So all of you were challenging each other. Back then, your brain was getting challenged naturally just by your associations. Nowadays, you don't really talk to anybody else. You are sitting around watching TV, vegetating, doing nothing, because you've already retired out of the ambition game, and now your brain is starting to fall apart the same way your body is starting to fall apart. All right, don't let this happen to you. Okay, you must challenge your brain the way you did when you were younger, and your brain, if not challenged, will lose its muscle definition, so to speak, the same way that you will lose your biceps and your abs if you stopped working out and you stopped lifting weights. So continue to challenge your brain by doing things as simple as reading, having stimulating conversations, consuming material that challenges you to think rather than material that allows you to passively consume. This is what most media material is, stuff that is designed for you to passively consume it such that you don't have to use your brain to consume it. And why is this? Is because people are more likely to consume the stuff that they don't have to think about than the stuff that they do have to think about. Because the stuff that you do have to think about, it is mental effort, and most people don't want to engage in mental effort. What I'm telling you to do here is to engage in mental effort. Why? Because it keeps the brain sharp and it keeps the brain in shape, and that's what you want. And this, as the brain stays sharp and active, as I just explained, this is the key to the brain staying sharp and active, not only in the moment, but also as you get older. You can be more mentally sharp and more on point at age 70 than you were at age 30. If you follow what we're talking about here. And if you don't follow it, then there are penalties for that on the other side as well. Point number two, today's topic once again is how to protect your mental health as you age. Number two, maintain relationships. Have you ever read any books or articles or heard studies or watched videos about older people who are closer to death than they are to life, and they get asked about their regrets? The number one regret that comes up over and over again across cultures is people regretting that they failed to maintain relationships with their friends and family. So by the time they get to the end of their lives and it's almost over, they don't have too many people around them because they failed to maintain the relationships. Relationships give you something to look forward to, gives you people to engage with, and from what I've read and heard from people who are older than myself, is really what life comes down to. Life comes down to relationships. What matters in the end is not how much money you made or how popular you were on the internet or how long you were at the top of the sales charts in your company. What matters is who's standing around your bedside when you take your last breath. Who's going to be there? It might not be any of your customers. It might not be the people you beat out in business. It might not be any of your fans from when you were popular and famous, but the people with whom you built real relationships, they'll be there. And that's what maintaining relationships is about. Because again, relationships give you something to look forward to, give you something to engage with, because you know you're going to talk to this person or that person. It's really the only thing that's left when we get down to everything. When your physical body is pretty much done all it can do, your mind is pretty much done all that it can do, you've done all the stuff that you can do, and you don't have any time left anyway. Only thing you have left are the relationships that matter. When your career is over, or you are retired from your business and not actively outside doing things like you were when you were younger, all right, this is what happens when you stop playing. Only thing that matters now is the only thing that you have left, because you're not outside anymore. Only thing you have left are the relationships that you've built. And knowing that you have positive relationships with other people gives your brain something to be happy and positive about, even if other aspects of your life are slowed down and or they are fading away. You can still be positive about something, because at least you know you have this thing going on. You have these positive relationships. This is the reason why I did an episode on this many episodes back. I told younger people, those of you who are whatever you consider younger, and you have parents and grandparents who are from an older generation. They're from a generation where there was no smartphone. So they grew up and became full-blown responsible adults in an era in which the only way to engage with a person was to call them on the phone or see them in person. So I beseech any of you who has parents in that bracket, let's just say age 60 and up, you have parents or grandparents that are age 60 and up, let me speak for them and tell you that they do not want to get a Facebook post from you on their birthday. They will much prefer a phone call and no mention of them on social media than they would prefer a mention on social media and no phone call. Now, are there exceptions to this? Yes, there are exceptions to everything, but exceptions do not disprove the point. Exceptions actually further prove the rule, because they're exceptions for a reason. You're an exception because you're outside of the norm. So most of your parents and grandparents, if they're age 60 and up, would appreciate a phone call. Son, daughter, they would appreciate you actually showing up, knocking on their door and visiting, rather than sending them a text message. That is very informal, very impersonal to them, and is also not a relationship builder as far as they're concerned. You, at 27, may consider that perfectly fine, because that's how you're used to communicating with your friends. Well, these people we're talking about are not your friends. So you have to make your necessary adjustments, and this is the reason why. Because the relationship that they have with you, knowing that you're going to call, knowing that you're going to come visit them, knowing that they're going to get to spend some time with you, who is maybe half or a third of their age, gives them something to look forward to. And as a person gets older, they often need to find things to look forward to, because they may not have their career to chase after anymore, and they don't have the outcomes and the possessions to chase after anymore. What reason do they have to keep going? And if they can't answer the question, there will come a day when they stop going. There will come a day where there is no more. Not because they do anything to themselves. I'm not talking about suicide. What I'm saying is that when you decide that there is no reason for you to wake up in the morning anymore, your higher being decides, well, they agree with you. So, okay, no reason for him to wake up anymore. Let's get rid of him, take him out the way so he stops taking up space, taking up this bed in hospice care, or taking up this bed in a nursing home, or this bed in his parents' house. He's still has to eat food. Somebody still has to change his diapers. How about we get rid of this guy? This would be a lot less work for everybody, because he don't want to get up tomorrow anyway. I'm assuming that's the reasoning that your higher being has with you when you decide you don't want to do anything anymore. When you retire out, folks, you die out. That's generally what happens. You retire out of the game, you're out of the game. So I suggest you build relationships while you are young, and you maintain those relationships as you get older. And the older you get, the more these relationships will matter, because there'll be fewer other things for you to hold on to, and fewer other things for you to say, well, I'll get to that in the future, because your future is a lot shorter when you're older than it was when you were young. Okay, so when you're not outside anymore, these positive relationships give you something to focus on, give you a reason to be happy, even as other aspects of your life slow down and go away. Moving on to point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is how to protect your mental health as you age. Number 3, have a purpose. A purpose. The previous point leads directly into this point. We all know the retirement age has crept up. It's slowly gotten older, the age that most people retire over generations. And one reason is because science and knowledge has improved, and people are simply living longer, so they want something to do for longer. And also because when it comes to the economy, maybe people aren't in the same position to retire at earlier ages than they would be if they stuck on for a few more years. So you're getting that as well. On top of the fact that often people are changing careers during their time in the workforce. It used to be somebody got a job and they stayed in that job for 40, 50, 60 years and never even thought about changing industries. Nowadays, people are pivoting and changing industries during the middle of their careers. So therefore, they don't have as many years built up with which to retire. Their retirement is not as big because they don't have as many years of service to a certain organization or to a certain industry. So all of these have led to people staying in the workforce for longer than they used to. Now, that's why the retirement age has slowly crept up. And another thing that's happening is people are choosing to simply not retire. People are just saying, I'm not going to retire. I don't want to retire. They just keep doing stuff because doing stuff gives them what? A sense of purpose. Any of you who does stuff every day, you know you have stuff to get done. That's a good thing. Even if you have a lot of things and the list seems very long, it's a good thing to have stuff to do because having stuff to do gives you a purpose. It gives you a reason to get out of bed in the morning. When you stop having a reason to get out of bed, there will come a day where you won't get out of bed, and that'll be it. So that sense of purpose matters a lot. And again, I can tell you at the age of 43, I have no intention of ever retiring, so to speak, from what I'm doing now. I have no intention of retiring. I never ever called myself retired from basketball. I just stopped playing. I use that language specifically for a reason, because retirement to me, the connotation of retirement sounds like some old person who is basically checking out of active life. I don't want to check out of active life. I like being outside. I like being in the game. I like talking to people. I like talking about things, and I like people getting value from the things that I'm sharing. I don't want to retire. Why would I retire from this? I have no reason to. So many people are simply choosing to not retire. Now, personally, my work may evolve and I may do different things, maybe even change subjects, but I don't see myself simply scaling back from doing anything that involves business, reaching an audience, and giving people value. I think I'll do that for as long as I'm able to walk, talk, and type. If I can walk, talk, and type, or even one of the three, then I'm going to stay in the game that I'm in. Why would I leave? Doing things like what I'm doing right now is part of my purpose in life. Right? This is something that I've told you all, that when you are going to put yourself out there online, depending on what you're talking about and how you talk about it, you should be talking about something that you can't not talk about. And for me, the things that I talk about here on the show are things that I can't not put out there. I have to say these things that need to be said, and they need to be said the way that I'm saying them, because I don't hear other people saying things the way that I'm saying them. That's why I got to come out with my perspective. So doing things like what I'm doing right now is part of that purpose. If I give this up, I'll have to replace this with something else. Otherwise, why would I give it up? For you, that doesn't mean you need to have the same aims as me. What it means is you need to have a purpose. How are you contributing to the world, and even contributing to yourself? Why does it matter for you to get out of bed tomorrow? You should know. You should know the answer to this question. Why does it matter if you get out of bed tomorrow or not? The answer to that question defines your purpose. It has been said that when people retire with no purpose to replace what they were doing at work, they just retire out and they just decide they're just going to get out of the game and not do anything. When people do that, they tend to die within 2 years. When people retire out of their profession and don't have a next thing to do, they don't have anything to fill that void, they end up dying within 2 years. Why? Because they have nothing to do. They no longer have a reason to wake up in the morning. So you don't want to become that person who has no reason to wake up. You want to have a reason. And if you need a reason, find one. You want help, I'll tell you what to do in a moment. Let's recap today's class, which is how to protect your mental health as you age. Again, this is going to be a 2-part series. This is part number 1. Number 1, challenge your brain. Do not allow it to turn into mashed potatoes. But Law of Association says you become the average of the people you spend the most time with. Who are you spending time with? And are they challenging you mentally? Good news about spending time with people and being challenged mentally is that you can do it these days by proxy, through audio, through video, through anything you can find on your phone. You can be challenged by people who you don't even know. But you have to be actually looking for this stuff, because you're not just going to stumble into it randomly. Number 2, maintain relationships. Number 1 regret of the dying is that they didn't maintain relationships with their families and their friends. And this is why when they're on their deathbed, there's nobody else there. All right, you want to be the person when you're in your deathbed, everybody's there, because you maintain relationships with everybody. So build relationships, maintain relationships, nurture your relationships, because these are the things that will matter when you get to your end. And it also gives your brain something to be happy about and to look forward to in the future. Number 3, have a purpose. Previous point leads purposely and perfectly into this one. We know the retirement age has crept up over the years, and one reason is people are simply choosing to not retire. They just want to keep working. Personally, I put myself in that group. I'm not anywhere close to retirement age, but if and when I do get there, I probably will not be choosing to retire. I'm not just going to, what am I going to do? Go sit on the beach and watch the water and pet my dog all day for 20 years after I retire? No, I'm not doing that. I'd rather stay in the game and keep doing stuff. I'd rather go and give a speaking gig, rather write another book, rather do a live stream, still keep recording this show and keep building up my library, my back catalog library. I'd rather keep doing that than do what? Just sit around and do a whole bunch of nothing and wait for my grandkids to maybe write me a post on Facebook. No, thank you. I'm not doing it. I want to stay in the game. So I'm saying that to say you need to find your purpose. What is your purpose? What's your reason for existence? Why are you taking up space and breathing in oxygen that can go to somebody else if you're not going to do anything with it? You need to get intentional about what your purpose is and intentional about locking in on and following that purpose. And the more you're doing that, the less you'll want to check out of any game, including your life. All that said, tomorrow we're going to get into part 2 of the series. Between now and then, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's where you can secure and have me as your direct personal coach so we can get your game right, your business right, your mind right, your systems right, and your execution right to go along with it. That's all at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre, all